Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. And in this video, we'll talk about the recent incident that has occurred. Cognizant and Accenture, they have fired many of the employees, and these are predominantly from lateral entries. These are not uh, freshers. And if you see the news, they have fired approximately 12,000 employees, so which is 6%. So Cognizant has 2 lakh, approximate 2 lakh employee in India. So they have fired almost 12,000 out of it. So almost 6% of uh, the workforce is fired due to the failed of background checks. So the news is true, and similar thing happened in Accenture. So point to be noted, but they are not given the exact figure. But point to be noted, these both the companies, Cognizant and Accenture, both are US MNCs. They are not Indian MNCs. And previously, there are some fired in Wipro for moonlighting in Wipro Techem, and some Infosys. They didn't allow to join the freshers due to similar kind of background check issue, but that background check is slightly different. So some people has a 59.9 percentage or CGPA, but which is not considered as 60%. So that kind of scenario, definitely the freshers will not be allowed in any of the companies. So even if they are allowed to take the interviews, but during join these will be nullified. This they won't be joined if they don't have the 60% or the marks criteria, if anything is there, even the backlogs and all. So but this is a slightly different case. So this is about background checks fail. Now the reason being, the so many background checks are failing these days because uh, Cognizant has a huge attrition rate. It's went somewhere around 30%, and they have hired a lot of employees during this pandemic, and all everything is done in online. So there's all virtual onboarding. So during that time, sometimes company gives a offer within in the notice period. So it would be around 15 days or 20 days or even 7 days the employee can join. So they normally initiate the background verification. By that time, the background verification is done, it would maybe around almost 2 or 3 months, sometimes 2 months. And in case he failed, so it will be trigger a mail to the managers and his supervisor, and the subsequent uh, uh, process which leads to termination. So that is all about what I think has happened. And I will just I have a separate video of background verification to check out to that as well. I will show you today background verification, how the background verification is normally done, and why this one is failed. I will tell my anticipation. So this is a background verification. So background verification is done majorly by the third party employees. So I mean third party companies. So some companies, they do hire two companies, one for financial. So they will check basically bank and other financial, form 16, and then your credit score and all, everything will be checked. And there will be a different one which will check the other details, like your PAN number, your other details, your educational criteria, all other things. So sometimes they hire two, and sometimes they only hire one. So what they can do, they check these days like UN. So UN is the single source of truth, because if ideally you should have a back to back, PF number created, which will be attached to a single UN. So whatever you are declaring in your CV or resume, that should match with the UN. And even if you do not have PF, or even if you have you do not have a, other details for certain companies, if you work, say, switch 6 7 companies. So this is one of the case. What they normally do, they dropped a mail to the HR of that certain companies. Now you can see, despite of the repeated follow-ups, the company has not responded the verification request. So they dropped a mail, and the format of the mail is like this, but the HR is not responding. So if you see what they want to know, they have shared the candidate name. Fortunately, the HR has replied letter, so that I got basically, and I'm showing you. So they have mentioned the employee name, which the HR mentioned it is correct. Employee number, to that company's employee number. Period of employment, they have given so and so, and the designation, what the last designation, remuneration, CTC they mentioned, and the supervisor name also, and like reason of leaving is career growth, eligible to rehire, yes, nature of separation or resignation, correct, not termination, and any issue with the candidate, no issue, and additional comment, good candidate, details of verification. So this is the positive feedback basically that HR has shared. Now it is quite possible that the HR can share like eligible for rehire, it may be no, and they can like uh, give some other feedback as well, like additional comment, they can give some negative feedback, that is possible. Even if that has done, but in that case normally like this background verification, they comes up with three colors. First one is green. This kind of information set as green. Green means all okay, so that employee can be hired or can be continue in the service. Next is amber. So amber means there's something which is wrong, but still that is okay for the next company to proceed. So if certain case like they told like this rehab, he's not a good candidate and he's not allowed to rehab, this will become amber, but still it's okay uh, for the other company to proceed with the amber. But if they told something wrong, that possibly the CTC designation, period of employment, and reason of leaving, so the nature of separation, if they given this kind of information wrong, that might lead to the red color of this BGV background verification, and which may lead to the termination as well. So this is all about this BGV. So do not hide anything in BGV. So okay, one more thing, like if you do not have, so they clearly mention if the HR is not responding, what can be action can be taken to go ahead with this background verification. Either you need to have Form 16, or you should have a PF number. So make sure like the company that you are joining have a PF, or at least you should have collected Form 16. So these documents are very important. And one more supporting document would be your salary should be in a online like mode. It should be credited to a bank so that I can produce uh, a bank statement along with the your of like payslip. So if that company is not responding, if the company has they have shut down their operation also, maybe like in your early careers you have worked in a small company, they have shut down the operation, but still you should have keep this kind of information. So that is all about this background verification. And one small information, like even if you have a little bit a career gap between your say XYZ organization, when you're switching, so you can still mention that, because a small career gap of 1 or 2 months with a specific reason, maybe like your joining got delayed, or maybe some due to some health issue, if you have a proper documentation, you will be easily hired. If it is higher than say 6 months, then there will be problem. You should have a proper like uh, cause or reason for that. So for female employees or like women employees, it is quite possible that they have a career gap for to support their family, so which is again acceptable in most of the cases. So normally most of the cases it is accepted by the MNCs as well. For male employees, you should have a proper reason if you have a career gap is of more than 6 months. So that might be due to like you have taken some training, you went off for sabbatical leave and done some course. So everything whatever you're doing, just make sure that you have mentioned. Do not try to hide anything, do not manipulate anything, because even if you're a best employee, best of best, you are critical resource, if your background verification is comes out to negative, you will be terminated. There is no option to like save your job. So this is altogether a different topic. You cannot save your job if your background verification comes negative. Now one more point is even like if you thinking like background verification may comes out negative, in that case do not join a CMM level 5 company. So these companies like Cognizant, TCS, Accenture, PwC, UI, Deloitte, all the companies, they have a very strict background verification process compared to CMM level 3 or a startup. So if you think there are some gaps or there are some nitty-gritties or problem here and there in your career, so the career is big, right? It's not about 5 years or 10 years, might be some 15, 20 years you have some problem in your early days. So there is two option. Do not show that particular experience where you have some problem, and join a company where CMM level 3 or a startup, so that they don't check that much for those days. I mean, they don't even spend that much amount. So that will be my suggestion. So if you have something, please let me know in the comment below. Thank you.